Introduction.
Imagine this. It's 1804. Two great empires are locked in a fierce battle, one that will reshape the future of an entire region. To the north, the Russian Empire, vast and ever-expanding. To the south, Persia, an ancient civilization struggling to hold onto its lands and its legacy. The Russo-Persian War was about more than just territory. It was about power, survival, and the clash of two giants in history. Who would emerge victorious, and what price would each side pay? Let's dive into this bloody conflict, where empires were tested, heroes were made, and the very fate of nations hung in the balance.
The Clash of Empires.
The Russo-Persian War wasn't just a territorial dispute. It was a result of years of rising tension and ambition. Russia had a vision to expand its influence southward. Persia, on the other hand, wanted to protect its independence and the rich cultural heritage that had flourished for centuries. This clash wasn't inevitable. It was a culmination of years of power struggles. But here's the catch. Persia wasn't prepared for Russia's sudden move. In 1801, Russia annexed Georgia, Persia's ally, and suddenly, Persia found itself on the defensive. A war was on the horizon, but Persia thought it could handle it. Russia, however, had a plan, and they weren't backing down. The stage was set for a bloody confrontation, and the first spark had already been lit.
The breaking point. Russia's aggression.
By 1804, the conflict exploded. Russia, under Tsar Alexander I, didn't just want Georgia. They wanted the entire Caucasus region. Persia's forces, once feared throughout the region, now seemed powerless against the Russian tide. What led to this moment? Persia's rapid decline in military strength and a series of poor decisions left them vulnerable. As the Russian forces moved south, the first major clash occurred. Persia's armies fought fiercely, but the Russian military machine was too disciplined and too advanced for them. In the shadows of the battlefield, something was happening. Persia's once proud empire was slowly crumbling, and Russia was gaining more than just land. They were claiming the future of Central Asia.
The battles that changed everything.
One battle after another, the war escalated. In 1806, Russia captured Baku, an important Persian port city. But it wasn't just about cities. It was about the fate of Persia itself. The Russians now controlled access to vital trade routes and naval positions, cutting off Persia's lifelines. But here's the twist. Despite heavy losses, Persia didn't surrender. They fought back, determined to defend their homeland. Some of the fiercest battles took place in the rugged mountains, where both armies suffered horrific casualties. But what kept Persia in the fight, despite its weakening position? Was it pride? Was it desperation? Or was it the hope that foreign allies might come to their aid? The story of this war is a story of survival against all odds, and it's a story of powerful nations at war with each other and themselves.
The dreadful cost of war.
As the war dragged on, the toll on both empires became unbearable. The battles were brutal, and the soldiers who fought them were often forgotten in history. The war wasn't just about strategic land. It was about the human cost. Thousands died, and both sides were left broken. Russia's army, though strong, was not invincible. The Russian forces were stretched thin, and many soldiers died from disease and exhaustion. Persia, on the other hand, could barely replace its losses. Yet, in the face of overwhelming odds, both empires pushed forward, unwilling to concede defeat. And then a turning point came. Russia's military advances grew more sophisticated. They had a navy, modern artillery, and a decisive strategy. But Persia, could they find a way to stop them?
The Treaty of Turkmenchay, the bitter end.
After 24 years of devastating conflict, the final act played out in 1828. The Treaty of Turkmenchay was signed, and it sealed Persia's fate. The terms were harsh, too harsh. Persia had to cede vast territories, including modern-day Armenia and Azerbaijan. The price was not just land. It was the very heart of Persian power in the region. What was Persia left with after this defeat? A wounded empire, struggling to hold on to its core lands. The Treaty of Turkmenchay wasn't just a political agreement. It was a symbol of a broken empire, unable to withstand the tide of Russian expansion. But here's the real twist. Persia wasn't just losing land. It was losing its identity. This war not only changed the map, but also weakened the spirit of the Persian people, who once held a legacy that spanned millennia.
Legacy of the Russo-Persian War.
In the aftermath of the war, the map of the region had completely shifted. Russia emerged as the undisputed power in the Caucasus, while Persia was left to pick up the pieces. But what does this mean for the future of the region? The power vacuum left by Persia would eventually lead to a new set of conflicts, with Russia at the center of it all. Even today, the effects of the Russo-Persian War are still felt. The borders drawn in 1828 still define the region, and Russia's control over the Caucasus continued to grow throughout the 19th century. But the real cost? The transformation of Persia from a mighty empire to a weakened power struggling to maintain relevance on the world stage. The Russo-Persian War didn't just change borders. It changed history.
Conclusion: the unanswered questions.
So, what was truly at stake in the Russo-Persian War? Was it about land, power, or was it about something much deeper? The legacy of this war lingers today, shaping the geopolitical struggles of Central Asia. But one thing remains clear. The Russo-Persian War was about survival, and in the end, it was Russia that emerged victorious. This story isn't just about a war. It's about empires clashing, about cultures fighting to survive, and about how one war can change the course of history forever. What do you think? Could Persia have won? Or was Russia's rise inevitable?